Hello and welcome back, my friends, to yet another episode on my YouTube channel of me reviewing guns. So today's video will be on this here SPAS-12 of all things, a gun that I've wanted for many years and have not managed to locate until here recently. So without further ado, let me bring the camera in and we'll go over it before we take it outside and shoot it. Alrighty, well, now that we've got it on the table here, let me just start this off by saying this is above and beyond the most complicated firearm I have ever touched. And by that, let me just go ahead and show you here. Let's just count the buttons. Alright, button number 1. Flip the stock back. Button number 2. Open the stock. Button number 3. The safety. Forward for fire, backwards for safe. What is that? 3? All right, we got button number 4 here. This is your magazine cutoff. Button number 5, you've got your bolt release. Button number 6, over here, this is going to be your pump release or speed safety as they call it. And then of course, button number 7 that switches you between semi-auto and pump. Now, with all of those buttons you've got here, makes for one big old conglomeration of I don't know what the hell I'm doing 90% of the time. So, now that you know the buttons, let's shoot it. Alright, so here we are out here at my wonderful range, also known as just random trees that lead to nowhere. We've got the SPAS-12 out, and now let's put all those buttons to the test and see how exactly it works. And I will say, it took me like 10 minutes to even figure out how to load this thing because of all these buttons. So, step number 1, we're gonna shoot it on pump. So you're gonna take this here button, push it in, slide it back, and that locks it into pump. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this button right here, push that back, pull the pump backwards. Now, it's primed to take a shell, which luckily I put on my bird vest. So I've got a whole bunch of them. Oh, won't go forward. It's not that. You actually have to press the bolt release just to let the gun go forward. And now, let's load it. But, can't push the loading gate in. That's because you have to hold the bolt release just to open the loading gate. So let's slap 4 more in it. And I will say this is the most god-awful loading system I've ever seen. And not because, you know, it loads like a standard pump gun, but because of this stupid button. I can't just hold the gun and rack shells into it. I've got to hold this to get it in, and that is awful. But anyways, now let's shoot it. The gun's loaded, primed, ready to go bang. So safety forward. They've said these are incredibly dangerous, but I've yet to have it just fire on me. So now it's on fire, and we'll go. And locks to the rear like it should. But for a pump gun, that is kind of weird to lock to the rear, and will take a little bit of getting used to. Now, let's switch it over to semi. To do that, you're gonna take that button I had earlier, press it, scoot it all the way forward till it locks. Now it is in semi-auto. Go ahead and pull this bolt to the rear, lock it back. And in semi-auto, you have to have higher recoil loads. So what I'm gonna slap in it is some buckshot here that I've got in my pocket. Bolt release, and it's chambered. Blue ones are slugs. We'll use those in a sec. Well, if I can find that third shell. There it is. And now we're good to go. Boy, look at the damage to that tree over there. Neat. So, I think that concludes the shooting outdoors here. You know, having this here SPAS-12, I almost forgot to mention that arm hook and what it does. And if you'll take a gander to the left here, this is the best motherfucking drive-by gat around. So alrighty, now that I've given you guys a little bit of a sneak peek as to what it's like to shoot the SPAS-12 and how it's not overly great, but it's still cool, let's go ahead and give it a score here on the whiteboard. So, extras. The gun comes with, from the factory, the hook on the stock, which, as you saw, is wildly useful. Comes with a sling and a box. That's about it. I don't have the box, but it comes with a box. But all in all, I mean, the sling is neat, the hook is neat. We'll give it a 6 out of 10. Now, reliability. These guns have wild rumors about how they're unreliable, they won't cycle, this, that, and the other, yada, yada, yada. And from what I've looked up and what I've experienced, not overly true. Most of the complaints come from people putting the gun on semi-auto mode and trying to run low power loads. And being a military shotgun, it's designed to run higher pressure loads. So stuff like birdshot just won't cycle. You got to know that. Run it pump only if you want to do that. If you want to run buckshot, slugs, go for it. But just know that that's not exactly what it's made for. Well, I should say that is what it's made for, but it's not made for low power loads. Now, that gives it a 7 out of 10. Ergonomics. Let me just say, everything about this shotgun is wildly comfortable except the stock. Stock is booty. Absolutely awful. And because of that, the felt recoil is way more intense than it should be. Like, that gun feels like you're shooting 3.5-inch magnums out of a duck gun, but I'm just shooting 2 3/4-inch 9-pellet buck. Come on now. So, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It's not the worst, and it is above average-ish, I would say. Next, let's get into performance. Now, on performance, as stated last time, that is how viable it is in the modern gun market. And let me just say, all those buttons absolutely suck. I wish I could just ram shells in it, pump it, rack it, and be good to go. But no, you got to push all sorts of buttons and flips all sorts of switches before you can do anything with it. So that puts it right in the middle of the road at a 5 out of 10. Absolutely do not recommend for a combat shotgun. Now, Nico score. As stated, the most important score that will make or break. This gun is absolutely the epitome of badass, cool guy shotgun. There is not a shotgun I could think of on this planet that is cooler than a SPAS-12. Absolutely 10 out of 10, and probably the only shotgun I will ever have that gets a 10 out of 10. Just mind-blowingly awesome. Now, add all that up, take the average, you get a 7 out of 10. It's a pretty good gun. It's pretty cool. Pretty complicated. I have no doubts in my mind that if you practice with it and did a lot of work with it, you could probably run it pretty good. But it'll never hold up to stuff like a Benelli M4 or any of the AK style shotguns, etc. It's just, it won't do it. I hate to break it to you, it's just not the best option. Now, price. These bad boys are stupid expensive for absolutely no reason, but I was 100% willing to shell out to have a 10 out of 10 cool guy shotgun. On average, $3,000 to $4,000. If you get really lucky, you can get them in that $3,000 range, but on average, they're hovering about $3,500. You can get the fixed stock models, which are really dumb, and I have absolutely no clue why you would not get a top folder for that, like I said, cool guy factor. But you can get those in the realm of like $2,000 to $2,500, sometimes under $2,000 if you get really lucky, but whatever. Anyways, 7 out of 10, great shotgun, I approve, and this is probably top 3 favorite guns that I own and will remain a favorite of mine for all time. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I would like to say I filmed this on a new GoPro I got. Well, I say new, I've had it, just never used it, never knew how to use it. So let me guys know what you think of the film, audio quality, if you like the first person shooting, etc. If you don't like it, I'll just go back to filming on my cell phone like I was. Thanks for tuning in.
Are you nervous?
No, I'm trying to think of what I'm going to say.
Something about a SPAS-12, no?
Yeah. Alrighty, and 3, 2, 1. Well, hello and welcome back, my friends, to yet another